Hi everybody, this is Rich from Juicing101.ca. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I know I did. So, we're going to talk a little bit today about some questions that have been asked from you guys. You know, a lot of people have been asking, how did you guys get started? And simply, like, what type of juicing do you guys do? How often do you guys juice? What got you into juicing? And like what type of recipes that you guys use. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. First of all, how we got into juicing was probably how everybody's gotten into juicing as of lately. We watched the show Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead with Joe Cross. Lacey first watched the documentary and she was intrigued because Joe had an autoimmune disease, and during the film, when she watched it, it seemed that the autoimmune disease was starting to cure itself because of juicing. So she was intrigued by it because my wife as well has an autoimmune disorder. And it's funny because, a couple months before Christmas, my wife had an appointment to see her doctor who had been dealing with her disorder ever since they found out, which was quite a few years now, and basically said, listen, we don't know what's wrong with you. We've given you all this medication all over the years. We've pumped you full of chemo and all of this, and we don't even know if that's what you have. So we're pretty sure you have an autoimmune disorder. We just don't know what it is. So obviously, by watching the film, she was intrigued, asked me to watch it, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little bit hesitant at first. I was like, it's a documentary. I watch documentaries all the time. But I was open-minded about it because I as well suffer from some diseases. I have skin disorders. I also have, I had surgery last year due to a car accident that me and my wife were both in 2010. So with dealing with pain with this for 4 years, I decided, enough is enough. I'm willing to give anything a try, basically. So, we decided, we watched the show. Basically within the first 20 minutes, I knew that this man made complete sense. Just everything that he was making his points on, it made sense. With the amount of nutrients that are in fruits and vegetables, you can basically do this, reboot your system, because it's just what we're supposed to naturally be doing. But we're not doing it because of the amount of processed foods that are out there and the amount of meat that we consume as a society. It's, over the last 30 years, food consumption has probably, in my opinion, tripled, if not quadrupled in content over the last 30 to 40 years. And it's because there's so much convenience nowadays. I live in Hamilton, Ontario, and within a 5-minute drive, I can probably, within my house, I could probably hit 20 fast food restaurants within 2 kilometers. So within 2 kilometers, which is 5 minutes from my house, 20 fast food restaurants easily, no problem. That's a little bit much. Now, 30, 40 years ago, there was never this problem. There was, there was 4 or 5 maybe, and then your ma and pa type of places. But the ma and pa type of places still serve the good food and whatnot. And that's what we're not getting anymore. We're not getting that good raw food. That's what we're not getting. So when I watched the movie, it made complete sense. So basically, you take all those nutrients and enzymes that are in your raw fruits and vegetables, and you put it into juice form. It's amazing what it does to your body and your mind, because I've never been so clear in the last probably my whole life, and I'm gonna truly be honest on that. I feel great. As most of my friends will know, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a rough go. And I'm not making an excuse over that, but it's been rough. It has not been an easy go. Especially the last 4 years, because we got in a car accident. Really, since pretty much since I moved to Hamilton, and I'm not saying that everything's been bad, it's just that it's been rough, you know. So we've gotten a car accident, the two of us were hurt, we were both off work, I ended up losing my job over it. So for, 3 years I didn't know what to do because I was hurt. Meanwhile, I'm not able to go to work, so we ended up, almost losing our house numerous times. If it wasn't for a settlement lender company that, seen my case and said, this guy is seriously hurt, and there's going to be something here, so we're going to help them out. And that's all we were looking for, was a little bit of help, and there was, luckily there was some there. So anyways, dealing with that, and then, I just didn't know what to do, lost my job, so I went back to school in 2012. I took a paralegal course for a year. I graduated last year, and then after my graduation I had my surgery a month later. My surgery went for the most part okay. I had a tear in my hip from the car accident. I had some bone spurs in there, so they grinded that down. I also had an abnormality on my hip, so that was all fixed. But I still continue to have the pain, and it never went away. And I don't want to be pumped full of medications. I just don't want that. Don't want to have to take Tylenol 3s, 4 or 5 times a day. I just don't want it, because then my stomach, I can't take it. So I'm 34 years old. I'm on high blood pressure pills because obviously with the stress of everything, and losing my job and then going back to school, and then we had 2 kids in the last 5 years, which is the best part of my life. Obviously, I would not trade that in for anything. I would do it over 100 times again. But it's just stressful events just during life, and of course it happens. But when I watched the film, I just knew that this was something that I think is going to work. And if I keep an open mind about it, I can get it to work. It will work. But you have to keep an open mind about it. If somebody's going to be dishonest with themselves first and discredit everything that is trying to be said, then no, it's not going to work for you, because you're not going to put the time and you're not going to put the effort into it. So you have to be really able to commit to it. So that's what we did. We really said, we're fed up of being in pain, and we want to be better for our kids, for one, and then we want to be better because I want to start working again. And now I've been able to start working a little bit more over the last, month or so. And Lacey, my wife, just actually went back to work 2 weeks ago. She's at work tonight for her 3rd shift back. And, she's doing good. So, it's helped. And, last 40 days, I've lost 40 pounds. Now, that wasn't the main goal. The main goal was to be healthy. Like, I can move my hips and everything, like, good now. It was funny because, earlier in the week, I did something I haven't done in a long time, which really freaked my wife out. I did a backflip. Well, not a backflip. You would kind of say like a half side flip, but I used to do this with my brother when we were kids. And my brother sees this, he'll probably know exactly what we're talking about. Because, we used to think we're wrestlers when we were kids and whatnot. We put pillows in our backyard and, old mattresses and whatnot. And we do flips and stuff. So I figured, I'm going to see how I feel great. So I'm going to see if I can do it. And you know what? I did it. My wife was shocked. She had obviously never seen me do that in the last, 7 years since since I've been here in Hamilton, that came back to live here in Hamilton again. And so basically, since I met her, I've never done anything like that. So it was great to do that again. I'm going to be 35 years old this year. And I just knew that we had to do a change. So getting back to how we did it. So this is how we did it. We did a 15-day reboot. Our 15-day reboot consisted of, we first started off with a few, and my definition of reboot is going to be not the definition that's everybody's used to. my definition of reboot is basically getting your body used to the transition that you're about to do. That's what you're rebooting. You can't just go right into a reboot. You just can't do it. You can't, what they all say about their reboots, you just can't jump into one. So when I say a reboot is me transitioning somebody into the reboot. Because once you start, you really don't want to give up. You just don't, because you've basically, you're going to get your body to a point where it's going to feel not good for the first couple of days, and I'm not going to lie. So when we did our 15-day, for the first, I'd say 2 days was okay, but days 3 to 5 were horrible, just horrible. I was a huge coffee drinker, so that had a huge effect, having no coffee. Like huge. I drank 2 pots a day. Sometimes then go to Tim Hortons twice, 3 times a day. I smoke cigarettes as well, which I don't now. I'm just about a week, just over a week now that I haven't smoked a cigarette. That I quit cold turkey. I'm very proud of myself for doing it. My wife's done it as well. I'm proud of her for doing it. I'm proud of us for doing it, because now our kids won't have to, you know, grow up with parents that smoke, like, you know, we did. So I smoked for a long time too. So that we did. I drank a lot of pop as well. There's days where I could easily put down a 2-liter, no problem. Chocolate, candy, you know, cookies. You know, there would be days where I'd sit down and it wasn't like, you know, 2-3 cookies with like a coffee. It was like I'd eat the whole deck of cookies. And, you know, by saying deck, like, you know, people are going to know what I'm talking about. So, there's just a lot of stuff that you bring into your body. So, with my definition of reboot, you get your body used to it, so you start getting off of this. Now, I just went off of all of it right off the bat, except for cigarettes. I still continue to smoke. So, 5 days and no meats as well, which that's a personal decision. That was just by watching a lot of different documentaries. I just decided that I was going to become vegetarian as well. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to. I'm more concerned about the juicing. But if you could cut out the meats as well, especially the red meats, because they're the ones that aren't good for you. And then with the amount of bacterias and the different things that are going around nowadays, it's just not safe anymore. Where at least, you know, organics or, you know, fresh local vegetables and fruits, for the most part, they're going to be safe. You know what's going to be in them. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to just drop and not eat anything. Just only strictly eat that, because that's not what I'm saying either. Just kind of watch what you eat. That's what we're doing now. You know, it's basically we look at the labels now. And if the word's way too long to pronounce, I'm not even going to attempt to buy it. Because there's no point. If I don't know what it is and I can't even pronounce it, why am I going to purchase it? So, that's a good start. Start limiting what you're taking in and replacing it with some raw food to start with. Then, you know, start with a 3-day where you just only drink juice for 3 days. Now, you know, your juices, start with like an apple, carrot, ginger in the morning. Or something with some citrus in the morning if you want a little bit of boost. I get that a lot where you know, a lot of people will say, well, you know, Rich, I just want, you know, like a little bit of boost in the morning. I don't really want to do the juice reboot, but I realize the importance of the juice, and I want to do it at least once a day, or maybe, you know, 3 to 5 times a week, or, you know, I'm going to do it every day, Monday to Friday when I go to work. I'm going to make a juice at night. Perfect. So this is what you do. You make a fruit juice, and you slowly add in. So you're going to start, you know, my best thing would go 70-30 for fruits. You're going to start off, everybody wants you to start off with as much veg as possible, but transition yourself into it. So start off with the 70% fruit and the 30% veg. So you're going to put in, you know, more apples and your carrots. And then you're going to add in, like, say, cucumber or celery or zucchini, the lighter tasting vegetables. But they're still green, so there's still going to be some nutritional value in that for you. Your green vegetables are what's more important. Another good vegetable to put in is anything to do with, like, leafy vegetables. So kale, for example, even romaine. Now kale, you want to limit yourself to kale when you're doing it raw, because you can experience some thyroid issues with kale. But you know, that's in larger scale. You know, if you're doing the kale does not really produce a lot of juice, but there's some nutritional value behind it. So you're going to look at that. Now, a lot of people say, well, like, what about bottled juice? Well, bottled juice is different, and I'm going to tell you why it's different. Because basically, it's the convenience of it, and it's cheaper. It's clearly cheaper than a fresh raw juice. Now, the reason why it's cheaper is because they pasteurize it. So it's because it's not fresh, it's pasteurized, and then there's everything else that's put into it. So for basic 200 milliliter of juice, kid's juice box, for example, that would probably contain almost no actual nutritional value because of the amount of sugar that's added to the juice, for one, and because it's pasteurized. So what that means is that they heat up the juice to a certain degree, and then it basically makes it so that it's shelf ready, so that it can stay on the shelf, it's stable on the shelf, and then, you know, it has a shelf life. Whereas fresh juice, you want to consume it within basically 15 minutes of making your juice. You want to consume that fresh juice before you start losing some nutritional value in it. Now, the enzymes, you know, because I can show you here, when, you know, you turn your juicer on and you start juicing everything starts building and breaking up, and then your juice goes in. So as that's breaking up and building up, the enzymes and everything get pulled apart, your juice goes in. So you want to consume that within 15 minutes. Between 15 to 30 minutes. You want to give yourself, you know, especially with the vegetables, because they're a little bit harder to go down depending on how you do it. So you start off with your 70-30, you work your way up. You want to get yourself between that 80-20, around that. So you're doing 80% vegetable, 20% fruit. And then, you know, on your occasion, you add your little bit more fruit in that. There's no harm in adding the fruit, right? It's the nutritional value behind it. There's not a lot of nutritional value. There's still nutritional value in fruits, except, you know, there's more sugar content in the fruit, which obviously is not the best, but at least it's a start. So we want to drink our juice within 15 minutes. If not, now, for everybody in Canada, I found that a Canadian Tire, 500 milliliters, which is a 16-ounce jar, these mason jars, these are Bernardin, but they also have other ones that have no crest or anything embedded on the glass. I like these ones a little bit better, just because of the crest and whatnot. It says Mason on it, so I decided to go with that one. And while I was there, I found these, which are great. Now, what these are, they're BPA free, and they're dishwasher safe as well. So you're still going to use your cap like this. Now, the best thing to do, actually I already have one in the fridge. So the best thing to do is you're going to fill this right up to the top. So you're going to fill it with your juice. You're going to fill right to the top. I like to do it in the sink. So do it in the sink. Let it overfill a little bit. Put your top right on. Seal it. If it spills, it spills. That's why I'd like to do it in a clean sink, and then it spills in there. Then you take your BPA-free friendly cap. You put that on, screw it on nice and tight. Boom. That's it. And then you've got no air. So basically, I don't know if you could see this that good, But basically what you want is you want it so that when you move it, it don't move inside the mason jar. It's basically just there. You might see a few little bubbles. That's it. That's what you want. No air at all gets in there. Now I've also seen ones that there's a little hole in the top, and apparently you can vacuum seal it. Now I don't know where you can get those. I've seen those online. So that's a great thing. Canadian Tire sells those $3 for a pack of 8. These things they're great because the normal ones, you know, you get the rust on them around if you don't clean them right away and whatnot. So at least with these, you know, you can keep these or you can toss them. You put your white BPA free friendly on, and you know, at least you only have these to worry about rusting. This is glass, the other thing's plastic, so you're only having to worry about this, and this is basically taken off. The only time it's going to rust is when you take it off and you like throw it in a sink full of water. That's the only time it's going to rust. So that's another good thing. So you're going to want to do that, you know, fill. If you're going to do it on a daily basis, I would say do it then where you're making at least one batch of your fruit juice, depending on how you're doing your reboots or whatever you want to call them. Make one batch of fruit juice and then 2 batches or 3 batches of more of the vegetable juices. Now you can add spices as well. Now this, you know, it's not saying that you can't add spices because there's a ton of different spices that are good for you. Now another good thing too that a lot of people don't realize that's really good is asparagus in juice. Now I tried this a couple of weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. I put it in a mean green. I believe I was running short on a cucumber, so I had my kale in. I had a cucumber. I believe I put a zucchini in, and I only had a few things of celery stalks. And then I bought a pound of asparagus. Sorry, asparagus. So I bought a pound of asparagus and put that in the juice, and it was awesome. Lacey had tried it as well. It was great. So that's another thing that's really good is asparagus to put in a green juice. It's fantastic. Now, green juices that are good is I just said would be fantastic to start with. The mean green, just the basic. Or you can also add lemons. You can also add limes. What else can you add? You can also add ginger. Ginger we use a lot of. There's a Chinese market, I believe it is, that I go to in Stony Creek, and the pieces of ginger that they have there are just enormous, and they're fairly cheap. The last time I went in there, I actually went in there for that, and I ended up coming out with 2 baskets of everything else but the ginger as they were closing. So I went out and then I had to run back in and say, oh, I forgot the ginger. I have to get the ginger. My wife's going to kill me. So ginger's good. It's very good for you. I'm going to put up a link that people can get some benefits for ginger because there's a whole list of them and there's just too many to list. So I'm going to do that for you. So I'll put up a link and you can see, you know, what type of benefits you can get from ginger. I think that's pretty much it. You know, that's a lot of the questions that, you know, we were asked. You know, I'd like people to keep bringing in your questions to us. You know, you can email me at rich@juicing101.ca, or you can email my wife Lacey. Her email address is lacy@juicing101.ca.